Welcome to my podcast, Actual Leigh. This is the continuation of last week's conversation. Let's dive right back in.
So why do I want to OnlyFans? Because everybody wants a piece of the toast. No, so Toasty has been on a journey of discovery for some time. Toasty spent a lot of time spending talking about himself in the third person. Toasty also spent about 11 years down in Florida, which is just a really warm bathtub orgy if you've ever been there. And I ran into people from Rocky Horror Picture Show. I performed comedy at a nudist resort. I've spent time in a nudist resort. I got nude. So I was once I modeled for a figure drawing class. That is chapter one in my OnlyFans book. A friend of mine knew me through Toastmasters, which is hilarious. Uh, and she is an artist and she invited me. She's like, "Oh, we got a figure drawing class." I'm like, "Which week is female?" And she's like, "This week is female." I'm like, "I'll be there." So I show up, I pay my $20 and I pretend to draw a woman for 2 hours. And I did actually draw her. Well, after the class, this little guy comes up to me and goes, "Would you pose for this?" And I'm like, "Sir, like, how can I help you?" Well, Leigh, I don't know if you can tell, but I am a larger individual. And for most of my life, everybody tells me my body is not the ideal that it should be. And I get that. I understand it. I understand the health complications. But in the art world, my body is the body of a god
You have
because there's a
details.
lot to draw. There's so much to draw.
I can see
Oh my
that.
God, there are. I've never seen that on a person. I gotta draw that. So, so yeah, when I took my clothes off for that and I went out in front of that class, and it wasn't a huge class, it was like five people, it's a very small audience. That was so mind-blowing for me
Yeah.
because it filled in that space between what is sex and what is sex like. I don't even know the word for it. Like, what do you call getting naked in front of strangers so they can stare at your body in a way that a lover wouldn't? Like, I've never had lovers study my body the way these five people studied my body.
Art.
I've never studied my body. They made me feel beautiful. One of them came up and just tore off his initial sketch. He's like, "Oh, I've sketched you 7 times." I'm like, "Slow down, sir."
Yeah.
He just ripped
It's
this page off and says,
I
"Would you like it?" I'm like, "Of course I'd love
I think it's important to decouple nudity from sex. And that's literally one of the things I have ranted about since I was a teenager because I was lucky enough to grow up around these like post-hippie people that ran around naked and
it." Right.
they go out to the like river. I mean, so I grew up around adults being nude and I didn't know like I'd have people literally be like, "Oh, that's so perverted." And I'm like, there there's you know
Yep.
and it made me realize that people sexualize nudity by default, and it's just part of the problem. It's
Yeah.
because sex is sex. Sex is sexy. Sexual things are sexy, but nudity isn't sexual unless somebody makes it sexual. And I think that's very important. It's one of the reasons why women are not safe to just go out and be like, because if their shoulders are showing or whatever, somebody can see that and sexualize it. And if we decouple that in a way that's like, you can't just walk up to somebody that's been conditioned to sexualize nudity and tell them, don't do that. They have to learn to not do that. It takes practice and exposure and stuff. But, we could raise our kids, differently so that they have a better relationship with that stuff because I think it just hurts everybody, right? But like, um it just I don't know, it's such a mess. It's so to have that experience, to actually have the experience to be able to be naked in in a non-sexual context, I think it's so important. I think that there is something very um I'm gonna say freeing, but that's not the word that I'm looking for. But freeing is can work. In it, there's I don't know, just like running around naked to run around naked is like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the first time, so when I went, So I had two nudist camp experiences. The first time I went, it is funny because out in Land Lakes, there are two nudist resorts right next to each other. And one of them is for very wealthy people, and one of them is for broke ass hippies. And they are on opposite sides of the same wooden fence. I mean, that like you can peek through almost. So I did comedy at the upscale, and it was so funny because it was Halloween. So nudist plus Halloween.
Okay.
Incredible. I'm in the middle of a comedy set, and this room is, dimly lit. I've got all these people that are half costumed and half ass out, and I'm okay with it. And right in the middle of my set, a 6 foot gingerbread man walked out into the middle of the floor, and I said, "Does anyone else see the gingerbread man?" Thankfully, they did. Thankfully, they did. I had a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But I
Uh,
didn't get naked. I went fully clothed. I left fully clothed. I went back to the hippie resort. Um,
hold on a second. Your video,
oh, did it go away?
it's there, but you're not moving anymore. You stop. I can still hear you fine,
Oh
but
no.
eh, I'm waiting for it to catch up. All right, there you're starting to come back a little bit. Is it weird on your side? No. No. And we are back.
And we're back. Sorry, that was my internet. They sent me a new modem. I love my internet provider. They mailed me a new modem and they threatened me with a if I don't return the old equipment fee. And I'm like, you mailed me something I didn't ask for, so your system can charge me more.
Yep. I own all my modem and all of that, so they don't get to charge me because I'm not messing
Yeah.
around with them.
No, no, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. All right, we were talking about nudity. We were talking
And
about
the comedy show, Gingerbread
yes,
Man.
thank you. So right in the middle of the gingerbread man, everything was fine. That night went well. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, but very, very high end. So I went back a little bit later to the lower end nudist resort. And I actually went there to hang out with some friends. And when you first get there and you walk in and you're like, wow, you're naked and you're naked and you're naked. And you're like, wow, all right, all right. And then after 30 minutes, you're like, yeah, you're still naked. You're still naked. Yeah. And after 2 hours, you're like, could you move your dick out of my way? I'd like to see the sunset. Like, your dick is in my way, And
Yeah.
it was that, like, when you look at clothing, a lot of clothing is designed to make you think about the person naked in a way that would create sexual tension that doesn't happen when the person's just naked. Like, like that's the thing is like they're, I don't know.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah. No,
yeah.
they're definitely, especially I mean maybe there is for men's clothing and I've never noticed, but definitely for women's clothing there is
Well, the
some that
skirt
like
the skirt that's really high in the front and low in the back, I'm like, it's like you're looking up her skirt. You're literally giving us the perspective of looking up her skirt. And
yeah.
again, I don't have a problem with any costume. I just have a problem with a costume with an agenda.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to make me think a certain way about somebody's body and not make them feel beautiful and not make, them feel
Yeah.
comfortable.
Well, like I think, some of that also comes down to like how we learn to look at things, right? Because I wouldn't see that. I would never think that with that line. I would think that that was about showing the ankles, right? Um,
Oh, okay.
so, but then there's something I learned recently that I never, like maxi skirts are like the stretchy material, and on women that have like wider hips, it'll pull tight so you can kind of see the line of the thigh towards the pubic bone.
Hmm.
I always like when my clothes fit like that, I thought it would make me look fat, so I wouldn't wear it because I was embarrassed. But it ends up that men like that. likes to see those lines, and I had no idea. And so now it's like changed it where I'm like, well, if a woman chooses to wear that, then like, is she aware of the fact that men like to see those lines, or is she just wearing it because it's comfortable? Because those skirts are very
Yeah.
comfortable, you know? So I never wore it because I was self-conscious about my body. But if I had worn them and then found out that those lines were attractive in that way, I probably would stop wearing them because of that, because I don't
Right.
want to like, I don't want to be sexualized unless I'm choosing to be sexualized. So,
And that's the kind of thing where it's like so let's go back to my scenario. I'm standing up there naked. By the way, choose a comfortable pose if you're going to be naked because they need 20 minutes. They
right.
need 20 minutes. Choose a
Yeah.
comfortable pose. I was out there with a sumo wrestler and I'm like, I don't have the muscle tone for this. So we did the grapes, Uh so like if my little fella who was appreciating my body artistically uh wanted to appreciate me in a sexual manner, like he would be the one deciding that. Like
Right.
we've already entered into a engagement where I said, okay, I want you to look at my body for the purpose of drawing it. Now, if he sits there and takes pleasure from it above and beyond the artistic value, then that's where the strangeness of it, that's where my confusion
Yeah.
comes
Well,
into.
if you have a boundary and an agreement of what the dynamic is, and for some reason, someone has an experience that goes beyond that, like when you went into the class with the woman and you drew her and your
Mhm.
intent was to objectify her, um, like her agreement was to be art. And presumably you didn't walk up to her and say, I like drawing you, I want to put it in you, right? You just drew her and you kept that boundary even though you probably had some feelings in response, right? And that's
Okay.
that's that's where the line is, right? Keep it to yourself.
Okay.
If that person hasn't consented to that attention, then you keep it to yourself. It's like, if you think like you might want to get to know that person more or whatever, might be able to say hello to them and see if they'll say hello back, but don't take the sexual stuff and put it in there, because that's asking somebody to be in the same emotional gear that you're in, right? And they're not. Like, it's like you're gonna
Okay.
have foreplay. So, and there's gonna be like consent to that. So that's kind of like where that line is. And I think like it doesn't get well communicated, and it can be a little bit confusing because there's sort of that like, I think sometimes when people want social things to change, they go too far and they become intolerant. So they're like, you shouldn't objectify women. Well, you know what? There's an entire population of people that have been hardwired to objectify women, including women, right? We do it all the time. So, like, what we need to realistically be doing is saying, do not act on objectifying the women, and practice seeing women as people and treating them as people, even though you're still going to have these processes that are going to happen. And with time, that balance will change and that process will not be there, except for the stuff that really hits hard, because there's always those buttons we're real sensitive to that give us the feels, right?
Yeah.
So it's more about that, and it's more about taking responsibility about how things make us feel and not forcing them on other people. And that's really where that line comes from. And I know that like there are women who they're just like, I feel very uncomfortable being sexualized or objectified, even if they're not seeing proof of it. And I get that because I've definitely like had those thoughts and stuff. But at the same time, we can't control other people. And if we can't see it, they're not forcing it on us, then we're basically imagining that it's happening and being uncomfortable because of something we're imagining. And like at that point, that's on me. If I'm making, if I'm imagining that it's happening, because you don't know for sure. It's like the stranger danger thing as well. Like it's just all that stuff is, we
Oh
go a little too
yeah.
far sometimes, and these
Yeah.
changes take time. And we have to change it with how we raise our children and the media that they're exposed to and what they're normalized to. We cannot ask adults to change overnight. We can only ask
Right.
them to learn and practice and be mindful and to with time it will get better, but it's like, um, and I think there are just some situations where like people really want to connect with somebody because they find them attractive, and it's just not, you just gotta let it go, you know?
Yeah.
And because it's that other person's not going to feel safe, especially because of the way things feel for women in society. There is like a level of like a threat level that's kind of always there. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're a safe person or not. Nobody knows that you're a safe person until you've been proven to be a safe person. So like sometimes just approaching somebody is gonna feel unsafe, even if that's not your intent. And I see people get, frustrated, men get frustrated online when they're like, well, how do I approach that person? How do I make them know that I think they're beautiful? I'm like, you don't need to, period, because it's still about you. You want to connect with them because you are having a reaction to them, and it's about what you want, and it's not like, you know,
Yeah. Uh, it brings to mind the whole purpose of catcalling, or not purpose of catcalling, but the whole idea of catcalling. Uh, you can look at somebody walk by you on the street and think whatever you want to think in your head, but to call it out makes the person like it's like a search for agreement. You're like, wow, I'm objectifying you. You should go, woohoo, or
yep,
you should comply. Um,
yep,
so it's in. I'm glad you said that because I didn't think about the boundary of just keeping it to yourself.
yeah.
Um,
And I even like as a woman, I sometimes want to give people compliments, and I'm like not sure where the line is, because I
yeah.
don't want to make people uncomfortable. And it's not even about like sex. I don't sexualize people like that. I just don't want to make, because sometimes even though somebody's sharing a photo and it's of them, it's not always about what they look like, and some people don't want that attention, and I don't want to assume that that's what they're seeking. And so I just kind of, you know, just be like, hey, nice to see you.
I like to compliment the choices people make, and clothing is a very easy one. But I try to make it something that shows their personality. Like if they've got funky shoes on, shoes are real easy, like, oh, those are awesome shoes, because
Yep.
everybody's got to go somewhere,
Yep.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
just like last week when my clown friends they posted a picture and it was the least clowny photo. They just had like some glitter clown rather than the whole white, but they
yeah.
were wearing this brown dress, and it was just like brown is not a normal, like it's not a color that I really think about people wearing that much, but it just looked really good, like
Oh,
with all of her coloring and everything, like
oh,
with her hair color and her skin tone and stuff. And I was like, that dress is really standing out as being like a very flattering color for you. And I normally would just walk right past a brown dress and not think twice about it. But like,
oh,
good
don't.
choice there.
Never discount brown clothing. Oh, a good chocolate suit, a good chocolate dress. Oh, oh, oh. I, a car will drive past me in chocolate, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
that's a nice.
see, you think chocolate, I think poop. It's just
Well, I mean, one becomes the other, circle of life. Uh, those cacao trees need fertilization, so yeah, whatever. We don't judge much. How
Yeah.
did we get to chocolate poop? We were
I
talking
don't
about nudity. No, but see that is when you were talking about the photography, I was trying to say that, oh, one of my favorite photographers was Arnie Freitag, who did a lot of Playboy centerfolds in the late 80s and 90s. And but the more you talked about it, I was trying to think of all the photos. And like the centerfolds were always very standard. It was always very much the same photo. This is designed to be a calendar, it's designed to be hung up. It's always straight shot.
Yeah.
Almost like an operating table. Like lay on the table, fit in this square, we'll take a photo.
Yep.
Um, but some of the other photos I thought were at least decent. As they go from Playboy to Penthouse to Hustler to Swank, it become less and less about the art and more about like screenshots from the porno.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah.
And I think
So
the early Playboy photography was a lot more creative and better. And then they kind of found
yeah,
a system and then it got kind of generic and, you
it
know,
blew my mind that Playboy went non-nude. Playboy, like uh, there are some things in my life that just stop me and go, "Wow, I lived
but they
through that."
they went back to where they started.
Oh, were they non-nude to begin with?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yep.
didn't know that.
It was a big deal when they went nude. Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
So
it
they
must
just
have
kind of went
been
back to it. Yeah.
maybe it was Marilyn because I know Marilyn Monroe was a huge turning point for Playboy. I don't know what it was though. Like she was the first. She might have been the first. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't remember. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there
I
was
just
something about Marilyn.
yeah, there's like because there's like amazing photography out there of like the body and both sexy and not and and then there's just sort of like the low hanging fruit and a lot of that
Yeah,
the real popular stuff to me was like low hanging fruit. It's like it's there to titillate and it's not there to be appreciated so
yeah.
much. It's not art.
Okay.
Um
So this is a personal hobby of mine. I love collecting old nudity playing cards, the old vintage ones.
yeah,
Now they have newer versions that are just, straight out of the magazine, but I like the old ones because I like to see how things have changed.
yeah.
So it's very like in the 70s, nobody was shaved and
Hmm.
everybody had their hair a certain way and there were only like 12 poses, so
Right.
like, oh, but the poses were always with a function. Like, oh, I need to play my kalimba. That's why I am completely naked. And it's like, well, of course, who doesn't play their kalimba completely naked?
Right.
And it just I love these things. And
The
yeah, I don't know
old,
why I had to
old
bring it up.
ones, like the 20s and 30s, are amazing. Like,
Oh,
they're so
that is,
cool with the
yeah.
layers of clothing and
I'm
ankles and
just
things. It's just, yeah.
my favorite was the bottomless photos where they had absolute everything and then just no pants. And I'm just
Yeah.
like,
I think I've
okay,
seen a few of those
okay, I've
too.
seen what you've done there. I did.
Yeah.
I have it. I actually have it up on my wall. That's how much I love that
Yeah.
photo because I'm just like, it's so that's what it is like every now and then you'll get a photo. Like for me, I have containers of like photos, like ads. Um, oh, what is it? Takori, I think is this really high-end luxury jewelry brand. Their marketing photographer is a godsend. Every single photo I've seen, like I can't afford the $75,000 for this little pearl earring, but I have every Takori ad I can find because
Yeah.
every one of them just puts me in a place where jewelry is magical and it hangs out with fruit and water and just the most beautiful things. Uh, so yeah, yeah.
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 Yeah. I miss doing photography. That used to be like I just did it. Like it was like I breathed it. And you ask anybody that knew me before my health issues and my last job, I always had a camera in hand. And then as I started to learn about the neurodivergence, I realized that part of what I was doing was I was giving myself the stimuli I needed to stay comfortable in social situations that I wasn't would not normally be comfortable. I would be bored or whatever. And so the photos and running around taking photos allowed me this space where I could be around people but not be forced to engage with them, right? Because like think about how we're
Oh,
conversing. This
right.
I can't do small talk. This is So, and you know how most people would react to like this level of conversation. It doesn't go well. It's awkward. So, um, with the camera, I can just walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And then I just take some pictures and I walk around and I can like people watch. And I was very happy. I didn't expend a lot of energy. Plus, people had the value add of really great candid photos of whatever social event it was. And you know. So I do want to get back into it. I've been thinking about taking some classes, not because I need to learn how to take photos, but because the structure will
Mm.
motivate me to get back into it. But with the OnlyFans, the way that ties in for me is that I forget that I'm good at taking photos, and a lot of times I just use my phone. And then when I take out my camera and take pictures, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not bad at this. Except it's really hard to use a camera with lenses and take pictures of yourself. Like that's a whole
Yeah.
thing, especially when the app crashes every third photo. Like
Oh no.
stupid Sony. But
Well, I know you have a remote, so uh I'm sure you can
well, it's you use
camera
the
with
app.
it.
The app on the
Oh.
phone connects to the camera
Oh,
so you can
okay.
see what you're doing.
Oh,
And then
fancy.
you take pictures, but then it crashes every like third picture, and then it takes like 3 minutes to reboot everything, and then it's
That's
so frustrating.
horrible.
So I end up using my phone a lot because,
Isn't that funny?
yeah. And then with the phone, you just say shoot. So you just try to correct your facial expression between saying shoot and when it takes the photo.
Shoot. Shit. Shit again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. I'm learning French in Duolingo, and cat is chat.
Yeah. That's the word for cat is chat.
It's chat. 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 Now, of course, they swallow the T because the French just don't like any of the letters. But oh yeah, chat. Chat. Je
That's funny.
mange la chat. Hmm. No. Just when you said shoot, all I could think of shit. That's incredible. So again, for scientific purposes, have you thought about videos on OnlyFans, or are you just a still image kind of gal?
I do both. I do both.
Oh, just asking for a friend.
Yeah, it's I mean it's started out just photos and then I started kind of like throwing in some videos and stuff. So I've been thinking about doing
Videos and some 3D modeling. What?
like voice stuff, like find
Oh,
like spicy stories and read them because I've been told I have a good voice. So I think
mm,
about doing that. I don't I
yes.
need to find spicy stories that I can use like legally.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I hate to say it, but you could use Chat GPT. Which I'm pretty sure Chat GPT is like the anti-Robin Hood because it allows the people to steal from the people.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never
Like
used it. I don't.
it's let me tell you, it's a real consideration. I have a friend, everything she does, she's like, I was just writing something and I thought I better put it through Chat GPT. And I did, and it's better. And I'm like, oh no.
So
Like
like she
not
uses
gonna
it to
end
sort of
well.
edit and
She uses it to edit. So she'll type in some raw stuff and then say, "Hey, how's this look?" And it's like
but then it's
grammar
also
on
just in
crack.
there to be reused by anyone else.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be amazing if an app convinced us to upload our own content and then sell it to other people, including us? That's what makes it so insulting, is TikTok tries to sell me my own videos. I
Right?
have them. I have them. I have copies. I've got them in
Yeah.
triplicate.
Of
I
course,
don't
now
need them.
I always make sure now that they allow you to save them before you post them.
Mm-hmm.
I save everything. Now that I lost my other account, I make sure I just put everything on my backup drive in case I lose it again. I'll always have that content in the future.
Nice.
But
Nice.
the thing I realized recently with losing my account, I get to reuse all those sounds again. Because it would be
Oh,
like, oh,
that's
I've already
true.
done that sound. Now it doesn't fucking matter. I can do it again.
Yeah, no, that's That's a good point. So, have you thought of remixing your TikToks? Like, have you thought about making like compilation videos on YouTube? Um, because that's one of the things I always keep in the back of my head is how to do one job but get five products. So if
So
you,
I do put my puppet stuff on YouTube.
okay,
And that posts like 3 days a week.
okay.
And then or maybe I don't know. And then I have gaming clips on the other days, and then my
Oh, nice.
podcast on Fridays.
Oh, wow.
So, and I do get followers because of the puppet stuff.
Mm.
A lot of them are furries. Furries like puppets.
Ah,
So,
oh,
yeah. And then the
why am
gaming
I?
clips, I
Oh,
don't really
so
get followers for
condescending.
that, but I know, but they're furries.
They're
And then
furries.
they're
They're
furries. Um, I don't
gosh,
really get followers for the gaming clips, but the people that follow me laugh at my gaming clips, which is all I want. They're funny. That's why
nice.
they make me laugh, which is why I save them. And whether or not other people laugh, it doesn't matter because I watch them.
Hey, that's all
So
right.
yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing with YouTube. And then occasionally I have crafting stuff and I'll throw that in on the
Yeah.
afternoons. But yeah, I never really thought about doing like compilations or whatever. I was just trying to have like consistent, like I post something at the same time every day.
So I follow this couple out of Australia called Jasmine and James. They dance, incredible dancers, just stupid good. Um, and what they'll do is they will go live. Go live? Go live. No. They will record themselves dancing. Five or six, let's say that whatever the trendy dance is for today, they're going to record it and they're going to record seven different versions of it. And then they take the live, they chop up the seven different versions, post each version. So they're only recording once, then they're chopping it up. They have seven more products. And then now they've run every one of their old videos through AI. They've started a second channel just called Jasmine and James AI, and they're just running every piece of content through a filter. And now they have a whole, like as you do what you're
So they have
doing.
like too many legs and stuff.
Oh, they never do the fingers right. The fingers are wrong. But the AI is pretty good.
Like, what's the
Uh,
point of the AI? Is they're just making it
Oh,
look
so the AI is
different?
never them. The AI is typically like celebrities or, it's never them. It's, I don't know, it's whatever the magic of AI does. But
Okay.
I like it because, your schedule, you're going to create, a lot of content over time. And in the times when you don't feel creative and you still need to put out content, uh, it's where you can remix things.
Yeah.
There's a guy, all he has TikTok Tuesdays, and he comes on YouTube and he's got 15 TikTok clips loaded up. They're not even his. They're just, he's like, all right, let's watch some TikTok. What is happening here? And
Yeah.
he'll he'll live stream it on YouTube and another platform and Twitch while so that's where I think that the secret of social media is you as a human make one content, but through your different electronic devices and social medias, you create a dozen products from that one content.
Yeah.
Um,
I could see that.
yeah.
So Robot Liz, Robot Liz
Oh,
on
yeah,
TikTok.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So one of the things that she does when she's like doesn't feel like making content is she takes like one of the videos that she's done. Like one of them was when she was in the cardboard box dressed like a robot. And then there's like this one clown one she did, and she just remixes it to different songs and does different
Uh,
like slows it down at certain points, crops it differently,
okay.
and she just spends like 2 minutes tweaking it. And people respond like it's a new video. They don't even realize. Like I see it's the same clip. Like right away, I was like, "Are you reusing the same clip?" She did it with that robot clip like easily 100 times. Like, and people loved like every single one. They just, and
Yeah,
and to me, like it was fun because I knew what she was doing.
right,
So it was interesting to see the things that were the same and how they hit different with the different sounds and the different timing and
right.
so yeah, it makes sense to me. I don't really have any of my clown content because I lost my account, so I don't have like I have at some point I feel like that stuff would be easier to play with than the puppets.
Did you
Um
lose that content or did you save it?
no, it's
I
all
mean,
gone.
did you?
I didn't at that time there wasn't
Oh,
like an easy way to
oh,
download stuff. They didn't have the save option then. So yeah, I have some stuff with watermarks, but I don't have.
oh! All my, I have a, I had, I clicked the button save to device as it's posting, so I've got all the watermark
But
copies.
yeah, so it's what I do now is I save it before I post it.
Oh yeah,
So
okay,
that you don't have the watermark, so I can
yeah.
post it to other places. But yeah, I haven't done my clown stuff since last October.
Oh wow. Well, it's
Yeah.
almost October again.
Yeah, so I'm
Mhm.
hoping I'm gonna ask the building manager if the kids trick or treat here because there's a ton of
Oh.
kids here. And if so, if I'm feeling well enough, then I will clown it up for that day and give out candy that I don't actually believe in giving to kids. But they'll probably
Well,
hate me if I don't give them candy.
give them little things of raisins.
So. Ugh.
Hey, hey,
The raisins
hey.
usually have preservatives. Those aren't
It
great either.
okay. I don't know what you give them
Like
out little daisies or something.
yeah, I would give out like candy that doesn't have like high fructose corn syrup or any of the other shit in it. But the kids will probably be like, "What the fuck is this?" So
Ha! It's a
yeah,
Mary Jane. You never had a Mary Jane that ever had a word on it. You just trusted. You trusted that this little orange piece of wax paper didn't have poison inside it. It wasn't even sealed. Like all the other candy was sealed. You had to tear it open. Not Mary Jane's, though. You just trusted. That's what it
yeah.
was. Spooky season
Man,
at trust.
yeah, I remember like going like trick or treat was a whole like I my favorite thing about Halloween was organizing the candy. It wasn't eating it. I loved
Organizing it?
organizing it. Yeah.
That's
And then my
funny.
parents would just take what they wanted and the rest of it would just go bad because I didn't really care about it. Like,
That's
and I don't really eat candy, but if you were to give me like M&Ms, I'm going to organize them by color before I eat them because they taste better if I know how many there are. And then whatever ones there's more of, I eat those until they're all equal, and then I go one by one. And this is how I know that I'm autistic.
They taste better when you know how many you got.
Exactly.
That tastes like 17 M&Ms, and I know that. If I didn't know that, that might taste like 34 M&Ms, and that wouldn't be very tasty at all.
When I was pregnant, I had this thing about Wendy's French fries, and my
Uh-oh.
ex would go get some for me. And if my ex ate any of them, I would know. Like, I would, even if it was like two, I would know that there was not enough French fries. And it was like the whole experience of eating the fries no longer was right. Right. It was just like,
Yeah,
I was like, and she's like, I don't understand how you know. And I'm like, I don't know, but I know. Like,
I can read your micro expressions. I know nothing about those fries. I know everything about
I'm
you,
like, you
fry
reverberate
stealer.
potatoes.
You smell like lard. That's what they cook it in. You smell like preservatives. Uh,
It's weird
uh,
being human.
that's weird. Uh, uh, yeah. Uh, mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. So before we
So,
wrap it up,
yes.
I do a thing.
Oh, what's the thing?
You're gonna
All
give
right.
me three numbers between
Oh,
1 and 3001.
that is
And
quite the
then,
range.
yeah, I
Okay.
know. And then I'm gonna ask you questions that correlate to those numbers.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
We called it.
Called it. We
You heard it
called it
here.
2024. You heard it here first, folks. Patreon exclusive. Patreon. You.
You're making the face again.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, no, this is I love that you're doing this because this is what I need to learn. This is what I need to learn about what we do. You're very good at this. Yeah.
But
The patron exclusive. The
oh yeah, I
the
just
fact that
started
you
doing
have
it.
tiers. No, that is very important. It is very important
Yeah,
because even if it's advance, like I follow some more news and they'll do exclusives that are available to members a week ahead of time or a month ahead of time. And so it's not like you never get to see the information. It's just that if you're helping me out a little bit, I'm going to give you a little bit more,
yeah,
just a little bit.
yeah,
And
yeah. I have lots of tiered stuff.
oh, good.
Um, and I probably offer too many perks, but I I'm a very generous person. I
Yeah.
and getting support means a lot to me, so I don't, So like one of the things I do for my upper three tiers is they get a postcard every month.
So,
Guaranteed. Like
wow.
I usually just use my photos and print them up. My printer is broken, so I'm waiting for the replacement to come. That Amazon warranty, tell you what, they just
Hey,
sent
hey.
me an $800 gift card to replace my fancy ass fucking printer, which is awesome because it costs $800. So
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it's awesome.
So I got those your prints that you have, those are from my fancy ass printer.
They are very
Um,
fancy.
yeah. But yeah, so I send out postcards every month and then, the lower tiers are added to a mailing list, so they'll get stuff like twice a year, always a Christmas card though. And I send out gifts at Christmas time to everybody. I make like last year I made Christmas ornaments and sent
Oh,
everybody out. And then a couple people liked them so much she asked me to make they bought some and I
oh,
made
very
some
cool.
custom ones for them. And then I polished my own rocks. And
Easy now.
I was so excited that I sent one to every single patron. It doesn't matter their tier level. I
Oh,
just like sent everybody rocks.
that's
And
awesome.
yeah, there's all kinds. The bottom tier, the 250 tier, is the one that I thought I would get the most signups for.
Hmm.
No, not so much. Like I was
Oh,
like,
interesting.
and I actually because I have a mailing list that I've been sending postcards to for like 15 years, right? And so I sent out this letter and I said, by the way, I have a patron now. If you'd like to stay on my mailing list, and continue getting mail on occasion, you can sign up for this. Nothing, no sign, there's just silence. And I was like, okay. So I've just been like removing people from my list. I'm like, I'll just send to my patrons and a couple of the friends that send me stuff and, you know, whatever.
I know it's strange to say, but professional detachment is useful.
Yeah.
The and I don't want to cast any dispersion on someone I don't know, but there may have been a lot of people that were willing to go with you so far on your journey, but not any further. And
Yeah,
they
well,
didn't
I
know
think
how to say that.
a lot of people, well, yeah, they don't have to really say anything. They could have just been say, I'm really excited that you're well enough to be doing stuff after all of these years, because that was kind of the focus of the letter.
Right.
Um, and then I, because I sent out 90 letters and I didn't hear from anyone, like, except for the people who were already like engaged with what I was doing. But I didn't send them the letters. They were just already engaged. So it was a little weird because some of those people are very aware of like how hard things have been. And I was like, guess what? I'm doing this stuff. I'm getting to do stuff after like years of being so sick. I couldn't drive a car for years. Like, and now I'm doing stuff. And then I was like, oh, by the way, but I think some of those people just liked having the benefit of getting the postcard, of getting that
Oh, of course.
attention. And it's not worth anything to them in terms of like supporting it, right? So that's
Mm.
fine. What it did is it created like it changed my perspective on that stuff. It made me aware that what I do has value, not necessarily financial, but also financial, and that it's reasonable for me to put a price tag on it, because it does cost. I mean, who knows how much money I've spent over the years just sending out postcards to people who never even thanked me for it, right?
Yeah.
I would hear from them if they hadn't gotten a postcard, and they'd be like, "Oh, I really miss getting postcards from you," right? And that's fine. It's just that dynamic no longer works for me. It doesn't make me
Yeah.
happy the way that it used to. And like what I'm doing is important to me and I want support. It does not have to be monetary, but I want people in my life, if they're going to be in my life, that are interested in what I'm doing. Somebody who takes time to engage with my content every now and again when they see it, or to share posts about my shop or any of that, that's amazing. That's equally as important to me, and I love it. I like it makes me very, very happy. And um every now and again I will make a post and kind of outline that and be like, if you know an artist, here's how you can support them and here's why it matters. And just kind of explain that we all have the superpower to positively impact other people because we're all wired to need attention, right?
Right.
And a lot of us just never got enough of it to begin with because we didn't grow up living in a village where we would kind of get that like functional support that you would get in a society where everybody kind of has a place. We don't have we're all in, dysfunctional families and shit. And so like just the basics, because I know people are like, well, I don't have enough followers, or they don't feel like what they're going to do really matters. So I'm like, no, that like comment where you're like, this is cool, or an applause or whatever, that can like make my week. Seriously, I can fucking float on
Okay.
that for a week. And then like, and the thing is like it, in terms of like sharing, it's no longer about sharing to your followers. How many
Okay.
followers you have doesn't matter anymore. The algorithm doesn't give a shit. What the
Yeah.
algorithm cares about is that the content was interesting enough for you to want to share it in the first place. So
Right.
when you share stuff, repost it, comment on it, all of that stuff, it tells the algorithm, let's put a little more weight into this and maybe show it to two or three more people,
Yeah.
and each it accumulates, right? So that's where it is. And I keep trying to explain to people because a lot of people have this very antiquated idea about how the algorithm works. And just be like, yeah, because I don't, people will be like, oh, I don't have money for Patreon. I'm like, You can follow on Patreon for free. You can follow me on Ko-Fi for free and get updates and get reminded about my podcast. And if you go listen to my podcast on YouTube, which is totally free, um, and then give me a comment and tell me you listened to it and that you enjoyed it, cool. If you don't like podcasts, don't listen to it. If you like puppets, do that. I have options, you know? Like I have something for
Welcome to
almost
this show.
everybody. And almost all of it is free. So all I want is to make people smile and to have a positive impact, like that's it. And then to know that I had that impact in some way. And it doesn't cost money to do that. It doesn't cost money to acknowledge other people.
Right.
Like, you know, just a little bit of energy.
Just a
And
little bit.
yeah, and that's like to me, I'm like, I try to do that every day. When I go grocery shopping, I try to make the teller or the cashier smile. Like it's my
Oh.
superpower. We all have it. Like fucking use it, people. God. You
And
know?
Charles Xavier got very spicy. Very spicy. Use your fucking mutant powers, you asshole.
Right?
Oh, okay. Okay, Chuck. Sheesh. All
It's
right.
just it's so frustrating, the silence. And then
It,
and then
it
when
is.
you talk to somebody and they're like, "Oh, I really enjoy your stuff." And I'm like, "Really? You
I
do?
would
I had
never
no
say that.
idea." I like, and it's like I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but I literally had no idea. And it's nice to know it, but like you could, you know. Oh, that was my other thought from earlier.
Oh,
That
okay.
was um I think sometimes like people don't, like in relationships or even on the OnlyFans, they don't comment um or say whatever because they think that people know what they're thinking, right? There's that thing. And I think that like society has kind of trained us to think that women are sexy by default or something, except that women who live in their bodies don't know that. They don't know that they themselves are sexy. They know that other women are sexy. They don't know that those rules apply to them because they live in their bodies. They don't feel it. They see themselves. And I think that that's like, like if somebody's in a situ, I know there's that line. You can't just walk up to a stranger and be like, "Yo," but if someone's putting themselves out there in that way, like on Instagram, someone's intentionally being sexy and provocative or whatever, or on OnlyFans or wherever, in that context, if somebody wants to give a compliment to offer like a reassurance, reaffirming acknowledgement of what their intent is, then in that situation is totally appropriate. And I think like should be done, you know, because how they going to know otherwise? How they know they do good if you don't tell them they do good?
How they
Do
know
it
they do good. You don't say they do good. Hmm.
exactly, you know. But of course, that's like that where that then the line there is don't do it with expectation.
Oh, okay.
Do
Don't
it
do it with expectation.
do it
That's good.
to give back because that person gave you something by giving you the field, make you see them. So then you give back the compliment, and then that's it. There's no
Yeah.
more. There's nothing else. Like, that,
I have to say one of the best compliments I get is when I'm really dressed wild, t-shirt, tie, jacket, mismatching pants, wild shoes, and somebody will stop me and they'll go, I like your style. I'm like, all right. Or as somebody saw, I had a tie dye on the other day, and they were like, I really like that shirt. And that's all you have to say. And it,
yeah,
it really just it made my day. You're absolutely
yeah.
right. It turned it around. It
Yeah,
really.
it makes me, it makes me feel seen. I don't get a lot of compliments in public, but when I do, lately it's been happening when I'm out like catching Pokemon, and it's always like some older lady who likes what I'm wearing. And at first I was like, so I'm dressing because it used to be like older people get mad at me. And so now I'm dressing appropriate for, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of a weird feeling. And then I started thinking about it and I realized that these women, they're older, but I'm 48. So they're not, it's, you know what I'm saying?
Welcome to the club.
So
I'm so sorry you had to enter.
So then I'm like, okay, it is a compliment. It's not that I'm dressing old. It's that, you know, because I'm not wearing anything new. It's just people used to not like it and now they do. So
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, I'm just quirky.
I'm big among the women who don't care anymore. They love my outfit. They're like, "Oh, honey, I don't care either." Well, you look good. Whoa, easy. That's not a
Yeah.
compliment. What are you doing?
Yeah. And I think it is part of it is that they have come to recognize the style and comfort,
Yeah, yeah.
because I have always been about the comfort. If it touches me wrong, I'm not wearing it.
It's gotta go.
Yep.
Oh,
Just like that, I'm
comfy.
done.
Comfy clothes are just the best. Oversized shirt, big old
Yep.
pants. Oh, just the best. Mm.
Yep. And I wear, like I wear like it's like overalls, like baggy overalls and they can be cute. I got curves, so I can wear like a baggy half shirt underneath it or whatever and it's still cute. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
comfy. Whatever.
Comfy is cute,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Right? You heard
I
it here
mean,
first, folks.
you know,
No, sorry. I got the host thing going on.
co
Hey,
comfy
everybody.
comfy is the new cute.
Comfy is the new cute. You've heard it here first, folks. Now see, okay, now see, this is what I love. You have the level of art where you can do this trick, and this trick is very slick. Jaden Williams is somebody I've seen do this. He'll do a skit, okay? He has this whole skit where he like he'll walk into the DMV and they're taking too long, so he'll go, damn, and then the guy at the DMV will get real nervous, and it's all about building tension. It's wild. The second you are done watching that video, you can click and you can buy the t-shirt from the video. Like this man is releasing the merch and the video at the same time.
I
Like
don't,
that's the level. And it's
yeah.
just and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You could literally now see with you, I would say your one of your clown photos on a shirt would probably be a thing, or like a over stylized two-dimensional version of you, which I
Yeah.
think I've seen before. Haven't I seen a drawing of you? Maybe I'm mixing memories.
I have my banner on YouTube and Twitch. Both are like sort of cartoony looking.
Okay, all right. I
Yeah.
thought I saw something along those lines.
The one on
That
Twitch honestly freaks me out every time I look at it. So I might need to, yeah, because my friend made it for me, be
I
like,
might
can
want to
you
tweak that a little.
make it a little, because I feel like I look like a golden girl and I'm not ready. So
Thank you for being a friend. Nothing wrong with Golden Girls. Nothing wrong at all. Nothing wrong with them. Oh my word.
I honestly, I just don't have the like, I would love to be more something, but I don't have the like energy to do
Yeah.
that. Like it's so like hard for me to keep up with like things, but it would be fun. I mean, like I have, I don't have them available right now, but it's like I have mugs and stuff like that. And I usually have my podcast. I need an updated one because I changed my podcast name. So my mug
Nice.
is my old podcast name. But then I can be like, you go my mug. But I also don't want to make merch available through YouTube because the markup is yuck and the quality isn't like
Oh.
the t-shirts or whatever. I'm too picky. So like I want to eventually invest in my own little printer and mug
Oh,
press, and
okay.
then I can make my own and people can buy directly from me, and then I'll know that it's what I like.
And you like crafting. So that
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
I'm over here thinking drop ship, but you like the crafting. So that is, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that I used to do shipping and receiving for a company. I don't know that I want to do any shipping and receiving ever again in my entire life.
Yeah, I don't get like I mean if I had a lot of orders it would be different, but I don't, I get like an order a week or something. It's
Oh, okay.
not a
Well,
lot.
still, it's something you enjoy. So
Yeah.
you have a limit. Once you're at 25 orders a week, something will click in your brain and go, oh, maybe I should get some help. But
Yeah.
until then, you're going to be having a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
uh, consider the,
Exactly. Yeah, so it's cool.
yeah,
But okay, so message me any links,
yes,
information. I will make sure that it's in the things and stuff.
yes, definitely put
Yes.
the things in the stuff.
Yes.
Because otherwise, where are you going to put the things?
I don't know, probably
I
in
don't know
the
either.
other things.
Oh, not the other things have other stuff to go into. Come on
Yeah.
now. Get it together. I know it's been a long time, but let's get it together. You can't put these things in those things, and then you get all the stuff mixed up, and
I
bedlam,
know.
pure bedlam.
I know. The
Uh,
chaos.
Terrible. Well,
Well,
thank you so much. This was a
yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really glad that it worked out and
Yeah,
had
me
a
too.
lot of fun. And we've been doing this for like 4
Four,
hours.
4 hours. We are now officially at 4 hours. Yeah. Well, so the first time I talked with you, I think we talked like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
I like the way your brain works. So I don't know if you've had anybody say that recently, but
No.
I was a couple of times I was laughing because what did you say? You were like, oh yeah, I was out the other day, just catching Pokemon. I'm just like, what a nerd. They're like, that's so casual. You're just like, yeah, I was going out to market. I was training my Pokemon. I ran into a human. I was like, human, are you also training your little pocket monsters? No? How weird. It sounds
But
weird.
but the thing is everybody I know plays that game. So to
And that's
me,
and that's fine. I do not
it's
play that.
totally normal. It's like the fact that you don't play it, my brain is like, huh?
Huh? What do you do? Do you walk? Why do
How
you
do you
walk?
how do you stand in line at the store and not like kill people?
Okay, is my last story. I have to tell you
Okay.
about my IRL Pokemon Go experience. I
Okay.
am a trivia host. Every Monday night, I am in the heart of Annapolis, sitting there reading questions to all the good people. One night, and this was right when Pokemon Go was just coming up, it was just released, it was huge. I had somebody come up to me and they're just staring at me. And I'm like, hey, what's up? You want to play trivia? They're like, yeah, 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 we're playing trivia. I'm like, all right. And they're just staring at me with their phone. And I'm like, can I help you? He's like, I don't want to be rude, but you have a super rare Pokemon on top of your lap. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, no, it's literally on top of you, and I need it. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how this works, but it was so wild to
Yeah.
have an augmented reality overlap my actual reality. It was,
Yeah. It
I
got to the
just,
point that people turned it off, and now you just kind of playing the game without that. They try to force it, but you can still turn it off because
yeah,
it's just it's too, yeah. But
it, it's a
the
lot.
beginning was they changed some of the mechanisms so they're not as disruptive to the real world. But I remember that first like year, or if there was like a super rare or like super good Pokemon because it would show up for everybody, you would just have like people swarming. There would
Oh
be
yeah.
like, like during an event or whatever, everybody just, yeah, and now like the rare ones will show up, but the ranking of it, it's not consistent, so that you no longer have the that
Oh.
swarming effect. So it's interesting, but it was exciting times.
Those were some wild times. I don't know how
Yeah.
we got through it, but we did. We got through it. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
The nerds were just so happy. They're just like, oh my God, oh, right there. I'm like, yeah, you get that Pokemonster. You get that
Yep.
Pokemonster.
And we go out on the like we have these events every month, and you go out for the event and everybody's out like looking at the phones, and then you have these other people that are like, what? Why is everybody like their faces in their phones? Is there like a game or something? And then I'll be like, well, actually.
Actually, I want to share it with you. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
still like, you can kind of just be friends with people just because they're doing the same thing, you
Oh,
know?
well, I mean, that's what it
Yeah.
that's what the journey is finding your people and walking with them.
Yep.
So,
So, cool.
very cool.
Yep. So
All
yeah,
right.
well, thanks again, and thanks
My
everybody
pleasure.
for listening. And I haven't decided how I'm going to split this up yet, but I'll let you know when I figure it out. And
Cut my
yeah,
life into pieces. This is
this
my
is
last
last
resort.
retort.
Suffocating. No reason. Don't give him. Yeah, we got to have a music outro.
Thank you for hanging out and listening. A huge thank you to my patrons. I could not do this without you. Want to support my creative chaos and get access to exclusive content? Check out my Patreon. Have questions and or interested in joining me for a conversation? Email me.